It's our reality, just your average family trying to be normal and stay out of trouble, living a double life.
What's up? Today we got Fireman's Season 2, Episode 14, You've Got Fail. So this episode starts off in the backyard, where Max asks Billy and Nora, are they ready to make the best epic fail video ever? Nora says they were born ready. Then Billy says, Pig Billy, Boy Billy. Pig Billy, Boy Billy. It never comes back again, but Max says, Nora, you are the adorable little t-ball player, and Billy is the unlucky kid who got in her way. Max hit record, and Nora says, time to hit ball over the fence. Billy says, swing away, but be careful not to hit him in his special area. Nora's about to hit Billy. Max says, cut, and says, God, epic fail videos are supposed to look natural. Phoebe shows up and says, he wants an epic fail video, just point at the camera. Just point the camera at his face. How dare you, Phoebe? Max is great. Max is not an epic fail. Max is not an epic. Actually, I gotta change the camera. Max is not an epic fail. I did not let Max get attacked like that. Anyway, yeah. Max says, oh, look who's back from rehearsal of the butt cracker. I love Max. And Billy says, the butt cracker. He says he sees that every time Hank bends over. But again, I love Max, so Phoebe says, it's called Swan Lake, which I looked up, and it's an actual play. I believed that Swan Lake could have been a thing that the show invented, but nah, it's a real thing. That just shows how sometimes not smart I am. That I have to look up actual things to see if it's an actual thing or a show creation. Because usually plays are created by the show's writers. But no, Swan Lake is an actual thing. So I'm just dumb. I'm just an idiot. I'm just not smart sometimes when I look things up. So I thought it was something the show made up just for the episode's plot. But apparently it's a real thing that happened in the 1800s. So, yeah. So, just saying. So yeah. Yeah, Phoebe says it's called Swan Lake, and she worked really hard for it, hard to get the lead. And in just a few minutes, in just a few short days, she'll make her dance debut and become the Swan. I had to do it. It's like, wow. And then Nora's like, we'll be seeing that for 3 hours? Then Phoebe says, isn't that exciting? No, Phoebe. No. It's cringe. It's just cringe. Just the way she does it. Probably it's really cool in real life. But the way that Phoebe does it, like, wow. Really weird. Anyway, or that could be just my interpretation. But anyway. Yeah. Max says, clear out bird brain. Again, I love Max. He says he's got to get back to their epic fail video so he can win that chirper contest. Nora says the first video to get 100 million rechirps wins $100,000. Phoebe says, let me guess. Max has some ridiculous over-top plan for the winning. Max says, no. He's going to buy a tiny island in the South Pacific where he'll start a dictatorship called Maxlandia. That's literally how he says it. Maxlandia. Billy says, what do they get? Max says, they get to be the first lucky few to be on the internet. Nora says, she just wants to hit stuff with a bat. So she hits Billy in the groin, causing Max to fall over, and and causing Max and Billy to, she hits Billy in the groin, causing Billy and Max to fall down. And Max says, the camera wasn't rolling. And Nora says, I know, leaving. After the credits, after the opening. Why did I say credits? After the opening, Max comes inside reading how someone said how his epic fails are epic fakes. Max says, how dare they call his stage videos fakes? Billy and Nora need to fail better. Billy says, fail better, as I still fail better, as I skateboard down the stairs backwards. Nora says, she's not doing that, which is kind of a good Nora line. And I also like that Nora, we see Phoebe, as we see in this scene, which I used for the background image because I could not find any other scene in the episode that's better than this one. I tried, guys. Like in the last episode, I always try to find a background image that stays the title, that is connected to the title of the episode. But this episode kind of had no background image whatsoever. So I just used this random Phoebe talking to which is where this scene takes place in. Also, again, I like how Nora has a bow on her helmet. That totally is in line with her character. So weird in season 1 that she totally would wear bow and then flower headband. But it seems like the writers just forgot that she did that. So now mainly she just wears bows every episode. It's so weird that in the first season, Nora in season 1 wore stuff that this season Nora no longer wears. Like, Nora would wear a switch between, in season 1 episode, Nora would switch between a flower headband or a bow. But in this season so far, in the 14 episodes I've reviewed, just started on the script for episode 15. But for the 14 episodes I reviewed, she's mainly just worn bows the entire episode, which totally, I guess, contradicts her episode 14, or season 1 self, who would mainly just wear headbands. Again, I just chose this scene right here because there was no other scene in the episode I chose from. I thought of one, but then I watched it, and I was like, yeah, I couldn't get that in. So I just chose this one. We see Phoebe, again, back to the episode. We see Phoebe. Yeah, we see Phoebe after Nora says, yeah, she's not doing that. We see Phoebe saying, hit the high percent swollen lake this Saturday. Which is kind of funny that I was writing this script when I was writing this script yesterday. It was a Saturday, so it was really funny when I was writing the first half of the script yesterday. It was a Saturday, so it's kind of a coincidence. But anyway. Yeah, she says, get your tickets now and see her become the Swan. Wow. Sorry. She does it, so I have to do it. Yeah, Max really tells her to get out, Flappy Feet. And Phoebe says, no way. Max says, get out of here. Get out of the living room, Flappy Feet. Which is, I guess, a reference to Happy Feet. Phoebe says, no way. She's making the video to post on Chirper so they can boost ticket sales for the ballet. They've only sold 5 so far. Then Bobby shows up to say, she's the person. Yeah, the 5 tickets Phoebe was talking about were all bought by her. I guess no one cares about this ballet, and Barb's the only one to actually buy the 5 tickets. Anyway. Yeah. Well. Yeah. She's so proud of Phoebe. Phoebe tells Max to beat it. Max tells Billy and Nora they're still making their video just to ignore Phoebe. And remember, the epic fail must look real. Billy says, okay, let's rock it. Okay, I had to make that joke. Billy says, okay, let's rock it. 3, 5. Actually, he doesn't say that, but I had to say it. Billy actually says, let's rock it. And then he kicks his snow, and then yeah. Billy says, actually, we know he says, let's rock this. But Billy says, let's rock this. 3, 3, 5. And then he accidentally kicks his skateboard, which Phoebe happens to trip on, causing the TV, then TV falls on her face. Billy and Nora laugh, and Nora says, Max, that's the video he should be making. And Max says, great idea, Nora. You're fired. And they just leave they just walk away. What? Like, Billy's like, actually, Max is like, Nora, you're fired. And they just proceed to walk away out of the kitchen. Like, the writers were like, yo, Addison, Diego, we don't need you for the scene. You guys can go home. And they did. You guys can go out of the scene. And they did. So they did. They just left, and they still have more plots, but they still have more plots in the episode, but they're no longer into the Max epic fail plot. They're more into another plot, which we'll get to. But the Max trying to get them to record an epic fail video stops here. It just ends. It's really weird. He had them wanting to make an epic fail video, but then he fires Nora. But then Billy and Nora just leave and they never interact with Max again. Anyway, yeah, so Max tried to say, Phoebe, are you okay? Let me call the paramedics. But Phoebe's like, nice try, Max. I'm not going to let you post that epic fail video, and I'm not going to let you post that video of me falling on the internet. She's worked too hard for this. Yeah. Yeah. She's worked too hard for this. Get it? Too. It's a ballet humor. He wouldn't get it. She says that she'll just have to. She says she'll have to go post the good parts on Chirper. Then the ballet is down for a nap. Phoebe is done with the ballet humor. Phoebe leaves and Max says he'll get that phone. For Maxlandia! Yeah, he'll get that phone. For Maxlandia. Anyway, yeah. In the backyard, Barb tells Hank that she's gonna go run some errands and let the gardener in. Hank says, that's great. That's great, sweetheart. And then Hank says, wait, the gardener costs money. Barb says, she found poison ivy in the backyard, and the gardener's removing it. She tells kids to stay out of the backyard. But Billy and Nora are like, and there's poison ivy out there, and they're like, okay, Barb, or Mom, or, yeah, okay, that's great, Mom. And then Barb says, it would be great if Billy and Nora went inside until she got back. Hank says, okay, says, don't be silly. He's here. He can watch them. And Barb says, she knows that. But if they get poison ivy, they'll be miserable and they'll miss the ballet. And Hank says he gets it. If your kids are on a bus hanging off a cliff, call Thunderman. Ooh, but if there's a scary bush in the backyard, everybody run into the house. Barb says she's sorry, she trusts him, and she leaves. Billy throws a frisbee into the poison ivy bushes, and Nora says maybe this is why they get picked last in gym, which is kind of funny. Billy says he'll get it, but Nora stops him and says because Barb said that that's where the poison ivy was. And Hank says, Barb was out here? And Nora says, someone will stop yelling at them. So they started to ask Hank. Hank is not paying attention. Even though he literally said he'd watch them, he is totally not paying attention to one bit. And when they ask him if they should get his frisbee, he says it's in the yard. They say no. So he just allows them to go go into the poison ivy bushes. I know it's for the plot, so they can get poison ivy, and so can Hank, and they can all try to figure out how to fix it. But the fact is that Barb trusts Hank with looking after the kids, and he literally just reads the entire time. And then when they ask him for help, he's just like, "Oh yeah, go do it. Just go do it, unless it's not on the roof," which is just like, dude, your wife trusted you, and you literally said that you watch them, and you literally go and do the opposite because Hank's meant to be egotistical. Like, he's seen in episode 11 that he's kind of still egotistical about stuff, but in this episode, he just is oblivious. What is the show want Hank to be? Like, sometimes he's a good dad, sometimes he's egotistical, sometimes this episode, they make him oblivious, sometimes they make him oblivious, what is his character anymore? I don't understand. First he's egotistical, and now he's oblivious. And now he's supposed to be a good dad. I don't know what the writers just fit Hank into whatever role they want him to be for the episode. Sometimes he's a loving dad who cares about his kids. Sometimes he's an egotistical guy that only cares about fame and fortune. And now in this episode, he's just an egotist. He's just not an egotistical. He's an oblivious guy. So what is his role? So yeah. Oh yeah. So Billy speeds in to get it and speeds out saying no poison ivy, but he doesn't see a leaf growing on his arm. Meanwhile, in the living room, Max is using his telekinesis to get Phoebe's phone, but is failing because Phoebe has arms of steel, I guess. Max's teen girl phone death grip. So he decides to take Phoebe's phone out of her hand and replace it with a pastry. Max says time for the epic fail arena to buy him his island, uploading Phoebe's fall to his triple page, and then he rubs Phoebe's hand in his armpit. Bro, Max, I meant to love you, but that is weird. That is weird. Then returns Phoebe's phone to his hand, saying he can make a clean getaway, but then he sports pastry all over him. The pastry's jelly all over himself, saying he'll make a cleanish getaway. Then in the Thunderhouse kitchen, Nora throws a pillow at Billy for giving her for saying someone gave her poison ivy. Billy's like, is he behind him? And then Nora says, it was you. You gave her poison ivy, Billy. And then Billy's like, no, he didn't. And then he looks and sees his arm growing. Nora says it only grows when you scratch it. Billy says he can't stop scratching. They should stop scratching, but Nora says it feels so good. Then Hank shows up seeing they got poison ivy, and Hank says, don't tell him this happened on his watch. Billy says it happened while he was ignoring them on his watch. Hank says Barb can't find out what happened or he'd never hear the end of it. Don't worry, he'll find a cure. Nora hugs Hank to give him a poison ivy, give him the poison ivy, just to make sure that he'll want the cure as badly as they do. Hank says, nice try, Nora. He flew into the sun once. Does she really think he's going to get poison ivy? Then cut to Hank screaming how poison ivy is like 1,000 ants eating his skin, showing that he did get the poison ivy after all. Then at Himville High, people are watching Phoebe's epic fail video as Phoebe walks in. Gideon says how he saw her video on Chirper. Quite a performance. Somehow Max is behind her she's talking to Gideon. He isn't when she walks in, but somehow he appears next to her when she's talking to Gideon. I don't know how that happened, but Phoebe's Phoebe says about how, yeah, Max is just with Phoebe somehow. I don't know how I don't know how Max is with Phoebe, but he just somehow randomly appears next to her when we didn't see him walking in with her. It's really weird. Gideon says he saw her video on Chirpers, quite a performance. Phoebe says thanks. Phoebe says looks like a post was a hit. Max says yeah, it was a real smash. Again, I love Max. I don't know how many times I've said each episode, but again, just do. Maybe in season 3 I like a new character, but so far in season 2, Max is hilarious. Hopefully in season 3 I like a new character, because I'm kind of tired of saying I love Max every episode, because just damn. I do love him, he's amazing, but just hopefully there's a character next season that becomes my favorite, because I think people already get how much I love Max by now. Hopefully, yeah, Max says, hopefully, yeah, a real smash. Hopefully a million people will see it. Phoebe says she hopes Gideon got a ticket to the show tomorrow night. And Gideon says, sure he did. Can't wait to see her break a leg. Phoebe says, break a leg is for theater folk. Saying it to a dancer is kind of creepy. Especially when he smiles the way he does as he walks away with smiling creepily. Because again, as we know about Gideon by now, Gideon's a pervert. And he's a creep. At least he's no longer hitting on Cherry or Kelsey. They're not even in this match. Or Oyster saying in this episode. I thought we'd see Oyster and Gideon, but yeah. Yeah. Max says her first fan. Looks like she became a star even before she made her debut. Phoebe tells Max she's not a star. Phoebe starts doing the swan dance because I keep having to do it each time, every time she does it. Come on. And then Gideon says, that's right, fall for Gideon. And but the way he means that, he means like her, the way he means that, he means like her falling on the floor for him. Which is, again, how are we meant to like him? He's super creepy. Yeah. When Phoebe doesn't fall, they all say, oh, like they really want to see her do it. But Phoebe, not knowing what they're talking about, just says they'll see her full show on Saturday and go to talk to her dance instructor, Madame Gigi, which is her actual name, which they call her that throughout the entire episode. Madame Gigi says the show is sold out. Girls say it's because of her video. Phoebe says, sold out, that's awesome. I'll be in the standing room only when she becomes the swan. And Madame Gigi says, no, Matilda would be the swan. Phoebe, you're staying home, girl. Phoebe's like, did I just hear that right? You told me by your accent, kind of looked like you said I would be staying home. And she's like, Phoebe, you will ruin the show because you are the ones who fall and break things. Then Madame Gigi just claps her hands, and then two girls who were watching the video on an iPad give that iPad to Madame Gigi. Is Madame Gigi a god? She could just clap her hands, and these two girls are just like, here's the iPad, God Gigi. Is she a god? Come on, does this girl have some superpower that, what is this girl's secret? How can she just clap her hands? And then these girls can just give her the iPad? What is her secret? Yeah. Madame Gigi shows Phoebe the video of her at the epic fail in arena, and then Phoebe says, epic fail in arena? She fell, but she didn't fall. I mean, how did that? Max! And then she leaves. In the hallway, Phoebe confronts Max, and Max says, oh, there's the swan princess. Then Phoebe closes the locker, and Max says, someone's an angry bird. Thanks a lot, Max. You made a reference to the popular craze at the time, Angry Birds. Which, I don't know why they thought, hey, let's give a reference to a game franchise. I know he's not saying that exactly, but it gave me flashbacks to Angry Birds. Phoebe says how Max could turn her into the epic ballerina. Max says he turned her into a chirper sensation and helped her sell out her stupid ballet show. And Phoebe says, oh, the ballet show that she just got kicked out of for being turned into the epic ballerina. Then Gideon says how he and Phoebe how he knows the epic ballerina and how they're basically dating. Yeah. This becomes a major plot point in the rest of the show where Gideon numerous times starts calling Phoebe his girlfriend, which is also weird because it is like literally in the previous the 2 episodes ago, Phoebe got a boyfriend, but she never states it in the entire episode that she has one. Max even knows she has a boyfriend, but Max quotes, "You and Gideon, that's exciting." Like Max, you don't know that she has a boyfriend. Literally in the next episode, Link literally comes back and they acknowledge him, but in this episode they barely do, and Phoebe doesn't even talk about how she has a boyfriend. So I'm kind of like saying maybe this episode, just like how episode 16 was productionized before episode 12, maybe this episode was productionized before Link's debut, because if Phoebe would have talked about him and said they're dating if it wasn't taken before that episode. So my headcanon is that this episode takes place before episode 12. Because Phoebe doesn't mention she and Link are dating. Max doesn't say, oh yeah, but you have a boyfriend, right? Nope. Doesn't say anything. So I'm just gonna canonize that this episode takes place. This episode was filmed before episode 12. Because Phoebe, I think if it was production coded before episode 12, because if it was after episode 12, Phoebe would have referenced something about her and Link being together. But since she never says that throughout the entire episode, I'm just gonna say, like, just like how episode 16 was productionized before episode 12, that's why in that episode Phoebe is looking for cute guys when literally she has one. When she has one, which is after the next episode, because that episode takes place after Link's episode. So, but Phoebe's looking for hot guys to go out with and has a phone that says has a phone app to alert her when a hot boy comes, because it takes place before Link's debut, Link's actual episode appearance. I think this episode is another episode that was productionized before Link's actual appearance, because if it was productionized after that, Phoebe would have said something about her and Link. But since she never does, I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say that this episode must have been taken before that episode, because Phoebe would have said something about her having a boyfriend. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So Phoebe said, yeah. So Gideon asked Phoebe to take a picture of her, take a picture with his friend, but Phoebe growls at him, so he says his boo says not now's a good time. And Phoebe says, yeah. Max says her and Gideon, that's exciting. I.e., again, as I said before, this episode has to take place before episode 12, because Max would have obviously known that Phoebe already is seeing someone and wouldn't have said that a line like that. So yeah, this episode, again, just like with episode 16, must take place before Meets Evilmans. Yeah, Who's Got Fail and Who's Your Mommy we know Who's Your Mommy takes place before it Meets Evilman, but this episode must take place before that too, or Max or Phoebe would have said something about Phoebe having a boyfriend. So yeah, named Link. So yeah, this episode must take place before then. Yeah. Phoebe says that this is her first lead in a ballet, and she has destroyed her toes for this moment. Max says she had some unsightly toes. She always had unsightly toes, and Phoebe says he's not gonna have any toes unless he takes down that video. Max says, no way. He's close to winning the contest and buying his island. Max says she can prance around in a chicken suit at the grand opening of Maxlandia. Phoebe says this is over Max one way or another. She's gonna get him back. She's gonna get him back one way or another. Right after she gets her lead, she's gonna show them all that she's not the epic fail arena. Then she falls over a bench, saying, starting right now. Meanwhile, third half, Hank, Billy, and Nora can't stop scratching. Nora asks Hank if he's found a cure. Hank says not yet, but he promises to click on every link. He will search every page, and he will not rest until, celebrities without makeup. Nora tells him to focus, and Nora says the poison ivy is getting worse. Billy says he hopes for Hank's sake that Barb doesn't come home. Then the Thunder Monitor obviously alerts them to Barb coming home, so they try to hide their scratching. Barb says about how she's so excited that Phoebe's done the ballet. I'm surprised Phoebe didn't text her being like, oh, by the way, Max literally just made her lose her ballet spot. But nah, she didn't do that. I guess she's too mad at Max, but anyway, like, Barb's like, they're gonna have such a fun time, but it's just like, Phoebe lost the spot. Phoebe's not in the ballet. And I'm surprised Phoebe, I know this is the last season where Barb and Phoebe actually have this, but this is the final season of Barb and Phoebe actually having scenes together in this show before Barb's literally reduced to B-plot girl. But I'm surprised that through their mother-daughter relationship, she would not tell her, oh, by the way, Max got me kicked off. Max created a video of me and had me get kicked off of the ballet. But no, she doesn't, so Barb just thinks she's doing it. But I do know that this is the final season of Barb and Phoebe having scenes together in the show, as Barb's more stuck to B-plot gal next season. Barb's more scenes are only in the B-plot stories. So, yeah. So, I don't know why Barb was reduced to B-plot character in season 3 and 4. I will never know. And why she and Phoebe never have any interactions again after this episode. After this season, she and Barb's more stuck to the B plot, while Phoebe and Max get A plot. But that's still weird that they did that, because Barb and Phoebe had really good chemistry on the show. So I'm surprised they stuck her out to the B plot gal with the rest of her kids. I don't know how to say it. And Hank. But anyway, aside from that, yeah. Nora says they can't live like this, and Hank says he sees that there's something in the Amazon Thunderman, and he'll go, there's a cure in the Amazon, and of an Amazon jungle. So he'll fly away, but Billy just speeds back with the thing, and Hank says he really needs a short catchphrase. But South Park taught me one thing that's more about chicken pox and not, I realized that was more about chicken pox and not poison ivy, but still. Couldn't calamine lotion still help them? Like literally, I know that I was thinking that this was just like chicken pox on South Park, where they got them, where the moms of South Park got them chicken pox, and Cartman got addicted to calamine lotion. So I kept saying, why didn't they just try calamine lotion? But I just realized that those are two different things. But still, when calamine lotion help poison ivy, I don't know. But anyway, meanwhile, and yeah, so they put the leaves on their hands, and they start feeling better. Max tells Colosso that his epic film arena video should be closing in, and says that it's Maxlandia, and then closing in on a million recharts. Colosso says can't believe they are getting their own country. Max says it's Maxlandia, not Max in his Bunnylandia, and tells that to the flag. And it shows a flag that I literally used as the flag that the picture of Colosso and Max that they use is literally a PNG that I literally used as my Facebook profile. Once. Literally, I literally used the picture of Max and Colosso that Colosso used as the picture for the flag as my Facebook profile. Which was funny when I watched this episode back and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I used that. I can't believe I used that myself for my Max and Colosso picture. But anyway, just funny that it's a PNG that they probably took off the internet and placed there, took out the red background, which had on my picture, and just put it there. Max says they're not using that. And then but as they're about to see the video, it gets deleted. Phoebe shows up saying that she was the main reason why it got taken down, and she was coming down to see how to take down Max when she saw his computer open. Max says he would never leave it locked. He would always log out unless someone logged it out. Then we see a flashback of Colosso learning to exercise from watching an exercise video on Max's computer. Yeah, he says his bunny buns can squash anything. Do you want them to see? And they say no. Max can't believe Phoebe did this. And Phoebe says says it wasn't all her. Max was kind enough to send an email to Madam Gigi confessing he faked the video. Max said he didn't send any. She hacked his email. She says she will not be prancing at the grand opening of Maxlandia. Phoebe says she'll be prancing all right. Prancing tonight. Madam Gigi gave her the lead back of the Swan. Actually, I'm not doing that anymore. Phoebe does it, but I'm not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassing myself by doing that again. Then Phoebe can, but I'm not. Meanwhile, at the Himville High, the Himville High Swan. At the Himville High Swan play. Swan Lake play. We see Phoebe as the Swan. Barb cries, saying Phoebe looks so graceful and elegant. Max says he's got to use the toilet, and Max tells Gideon to take a photo and record everything that happened on stage. He's got 10 grand to win, and he's not sharing. Gideon says that's cool as long as he gets Phoebe's number off it. Again, was this episode productionized before episode 12? Because Max doesn't even tell Gideon, oh, by the way, Gideon, I think Phoebe's already seeing a guy by now, so I'm just going to canonize that this episode takes place before Meet the Evilman, like episode 16 does. Yeah, Max tells Gideon just promise to call Phoebe every day. Again, takes place before Meet the Evilmans, guys. Just saying, this episode takes place before that, because Max will always tell Gideon by now that Phoebe has a boyfriend by now. Max says here we go, epic fail. Rene's about to ruin the song. And Max uses telekinesis to make Phoebe fail. But he fails, and Phoebe sees that and glares at him. Max says, don't glare at me, you feathered freak. So Phoebe uses her telekinesis to make a woman's purse hit Max. Then the woman hits Max with her purse. So Max says, you just hit the Emperor of Maxlandia. Then she hits him again, and she says, now you hit him again. And before she can do it the third time, Max decides to leave. Phoebe finishes the first performance, and Madame Gigi tells Phoebe how Black Swan costume is over there, and she's gonna change while Madame Gigi sells more priceless essence. Max appears out of the costumes, and Phoebe tells Max to get out of here and stop trying to make her fail. It's not gonna work. Max says she's too good for that out there, which is why he's gonna shove her into a janitor's closet, and he locks the door. And Max decides it's time for him to be the Black Swan. Max starts knocking the swans down, and Max falls on stage. Yeah, Barb says, "That's not Phoebe, that's Max." And then she also discovers a leech on Hank, and Hank finally confesses that he and the kids have poison ivy, so he decides to take them away to douse them off. So, yeah, Barb is obviously shocked, and I'd be too. I'd be like, dude, I'm never trusting you to watch our kids again if you're gonna... Yeah. A janitor lets Phoebe out before she kicks the door, knocking the guy out, which... Then Phoebe says, "Max, it's time for this swan to fly." So that... I don't think swans fly, Phoebe. I think they do. I don't know. Swan does on Pokemon, but anyway. So she and Max get into a swan battle where Phoebe uses her telekinesis to out Max, and the other swans carry him away. Max gets a cloud stuck on his head, and then the swans carry him out. But then he comes back, and then he falls. And Phoebe finishes the play. Meanwhile, Phoebe asks Max if he wants to see her first place certificate from the chirper contest. Max says he can't believe Gideon gave her his Black Swan fail video. Phoebe says, well, he does think they're dating, i.e. takes place before Phoebe's actual boyfriend's debut episode. And Phoebe says, weird. And Max says, what is it that she's going to do? Phoebe says she first used all of the money to pay for Hank booing Nora's leech removal. Then she bought Max some land with the rest of it. Phoebe gives Max the land, and Max says, this is a start for Maxlandia, to end the episode. Okay, this was episode 14, and it was fun. At least it was way better than the last episode. And I thought the whole Maxlandia thing was kind of cool. Even though the whole continuity, like, how this episode is so weirdly cut. This episode's continuity is weird. Like, I know that episode 16 takes place before episode 12, but does this episode 2? I don't know. Does this episode take place before episode 12? I know in the production code it's actually the 20th. It's actually the 10th episode of the season. It was in the production code. This actually was production code as the 10th episode of season 2, even though it's literally the 14th episode, and episode 15 was production coded as the 20th episode, even though it's actually the 15th episode. But yeah, anyway, just and we never get to find out what Max ever did. Did he ever build an island? Who knows? But see you next time.